So the federal government is reintroducing tolling in some selected expressways such as Abuja-Keffi-Akwanga-Lafia-Makurdi Highway, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Second Niger Bridge, Abuja-Kano Road, and Makurdi-9th Mile Road. Meanwhile, the Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE, Mr. Ayodeji Ariyo Gbeleyi, says tolling operations on Nigerian roads will mark a significant milestone in the country's journey towards sustainable road infrastructure development. Oh yes, many countries have done well with a tolling system, electronic tolling system. They've gotten funds for road infrastructure, and they've gotten funds to maintain that infrastructure through electronic tolling system. When we had the toll system, it wasn't electronic, it was manual. You get to the toll station and then you pay cash for the tickets. But after a while, the government removed the tolls from different parts of the road, though we still have, I think, a few operating. But that general toll system that if you travel by road, you would see, and then the drivers have to pay for that, we saw the removed. Reintroducing that, are we going to have the electronic toll system implemented? Because I didn't see much progress happen. I'm not sure the government raised enough revenue from that toll system because not all of those monies were getting back to the coffers of the government. What should change about this if the toll system is reintroduced?
Well, there are two very important points that I'll mention here, at least as starter for this conversation. The first is that Obasanjo attempted to raise the pump price of petrol when it came in 1999 because of the dilapidated state of infrastructure, and said we need more money to be able to do construction. Felt that one way to relieve the public of the burden that the increment in the pump price of petrol was going to cause was to remove the tolls from the road.
Okay.
So that becomes like an incentive. So because if a transporter is traveling to Lagos from, say, Asaba, you get to Benin, you have a toll. You get to Ore, you have a toll. You get to Ijebu-Ode, you have a toll. You get to Lagos, you have a toll. So that all these monies that you are going to be paying on these tolls, you save it, and that reduces the pressure on the passenger. So it was seen as if something that was going to add value to the society. More so the fact that the boys who were doing the toll were actually printing their receipt, and federal government wasn't seeing those money. And many of them bought houses and land along those toll areas because they collect it and they just buy land around. And this, of course, the corruption there was also to be removed, and that was to bring some sanity. But of course, that done, and we didn't see more roads really constructed. There were no green roads. Even maintaining the roads were a big problem. The petrol price was increased, and do really commuters find some reprieve? If you ask me, I'd have said no, because we see that the more we go, the more of these things we do, the more transport fare people pay. And that was the reason that the toll were demolished all along the road. And I don't know right now, especially with now market forces determining the price of fuel, whether we are still in that consideration to see that we are actually adding some little more burden to commuters. That's one side. Now, the second side is that there's also an international best practice in tolling everywhere in the world, that if you are going to toll a road, there must be an alternative route. Because it's generally believed that if you are tolling, it's either you want to decongest the road or you want to raise money to build more infrastructure. But for those who cannot afford it, you must create an alternative route for them to get to their destination. So it's not just enough to put a toll on the road without alternative. So people will have a choice whether they want to go through a road that is tolled or the one that is not tolled. And that's why when you go to other countries in the world, whether it's in the UAE, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in America, or even in England, you find that you must have alternative access road. Has the Ministry of
Works.
Worked on that people have alternative, that if they don't have toll money to pay, they can pass alternative.
All right, let's look at the cost of the tolls.
Now, before you get to the cost, I just want to lay the basic fundamentals. We're also looking at it. Take, for example, you just mentioned electronic tagging. When UAE did their Clean Road project, they call it Clean Road project, the vehicles in the whole of United Arab Emirates had a wallet that is funded, that the camera can automatically deduct money from the wallet as soon as you drive through that toll. Let's even assume that we have the capacity to do the electronic. Now, how much of the vehicles we have that are properly registered? At what point of implementation are you going to ask the public now to say, okay, well, because we are going to do toll, every vehicle in Nigeria will now have to be re-registered so that they can create wallet for everybody that will be funded, so that when you are going to cross a toll, that is going to be automatic deduction. All these logistics have to be in place for tolling to be really effective.
Okay, let's get to the cost of the tolls. So for this route that the government is reintroducing tolls for, which is the Abuja-Keffi-Akwanga-Lafia-Makurdi highway, this says that police and military vehicles will be exempted. Cars will pay 500 naira. SUVs, sport utility vehicles will pay 800 naira. Light vehicles and minibuses will pay 1,000 naira, while trucks, buses, and multi-axle vehicles will pay 1,600 naira per toll. Is this too much?
On one hand, when we start talking about money issues like this, I would like to somehow think that the Ministry of Works, including the agency that has been outsourced or that will be outsourced the responsibility or the contract to collect the money, the toll at the gates, are things that one should give very good attention to sort it out. The government should also consider that, fuel prices, the increasement of fuel price and the removal of subsidy is having a toll on Nigerians already. Removing toll or bringing back the toll system would also increase somehow the cost of transportation in the country, because you could see vehicles run from Lagos and Ogun State, and there's a toll system there. I remember very well that the way the Ikorodu axis, the reason why that road was like that was because initially, when the government had made plans and given out a contract for that road to be built to the whole of Ikorodu, and why that place became so open was because there was a toll system in the bargain and in the contract. Earlier, I would say that was the thought of the government. Earlier, after building the roads, some other both political and social stakeholders had to speak with the government that, look, we're sorry, the thing about tolling should be either suspended or kept aside. And that's even one of the reasons why Ikorodu axis and the road that leads to those places became the way it is at the moment. And if you look at the way the pedestrian bridges was built over there, you knew that they had already made provision for the tolling system. Now they will bring it back. The BRT charges 700 naira when you're coming to Ikorodu, coming to the island. When you're going to Oshodi, maybe 500 naira with the effective systems of getting that money straight to the government. The tolling system in that axis is going to increase transportation fare.
The government hasn't talked about introducing tolling system for the entire country. There are certain roads for now.
Because certain roads, because the government took some form of, what will I call it, loans to build those roads, and they felt it is to be operated between the build, operate, and transfer model with the companies that built the road. After they've operated it for about maybe 7 years and they've recouped how much they spent on the road, then it can be transferred back to the government that will keep on operating that tolling system to get some monies to keep on maintaining those specific roads and to build more roads. So I will not say the money is too much. However, if it takes them to increase the years, let's assume if it's going to be 7 years or 10 years.
So the contract has been awarded to a Chinese firm and a Nigerian firm to handle the tolling system and maintenance of the road. So it's going to run for 25 years.
If it's going to run for 25 years, then I still believe that amount of money is too much for the moment. Cars can pay 200 naira. Why must it be 500
maybe
naira?
SUVs rather pay 500
naira. Why 1,600 naira for trucks? Why 1,000 naira for
vehicles?
They're
haulage vehicles.
Haulage vehicles. Not all trucks on the road are for haulage vehicles. Sometimes those trucks already live in the border. Their companies are on the border. And do not forget that we're also company income tax for both manufacturing outfits and other firms are equally still paying.
So you see there's multiple taxation.
It is.
Yeah, but
so we need to consider all those details.
It's quite right that, okay, yeah, we want to do some certain things and you invest some money to do some projects. This conversation came in the United Arab Emirates when they were thinking how to build more roads, and they said the only way to build more roads, they don't want to borrow money and they don't want PPP to do it, was to clean up one road and then toll the road. And by the time you toll that road, you have like more money that you generate, and then you can build basic infrastructure. Now, the UAE did one clean road and make a lot of access roads that have plenty of traffic. So in the UAE, you have about like 8 roads that are tolled. Now, these 8 roads that are tolled are electronically tolled, and the charge for passage is 4 dirhams, and is estimated that about 2.8 million vehicle passes through these roads on a daily basis. And if you are a transporter, for example, or especially the RTA vehicle that are metered, once you get through a toll, you just see the 4 dirham drop. Annually, they raise between 500 to 800 million US dollars on toll alone. About 2 billion dirhams that they generate from tolling their road alone. And so the money just go to an SUV, a special purpose fund, where they are actually taking that money and people can see that roads are being made. I'm not even looking at whether the pricing is fair or right.
Okay, but Lagos...
It's also to look at where tolls are. Every time I drive through Oshodi, pass through the airport, I pay 500 naira on the airport, international airport. Vehicle enter there on a daily basis and they are moving on. And I go and check that road. Are they maintained? No.
But you pay physically.
We pay physically.
So yeah. It's obvious where the money is going to.
So what that means is that we also will need to demonstrate integrity that really is not just to make money for some other persons, that these things actually are also well-intentioned and these tools are going to generate money to maintain those roads.
Is it the VIO or there's a way they monitor and when your papers in your vehicle expire, it shows in their system. And there's a way when you're driving on the road and they stop you and they bring out some of your papers, there's a way they check it on the system and they could get it that, sorry, it has expired, or they refer you to a few days, sometimes where you crossed the red light and you were caught and all of that. Lagos has been able to do a few of those technologies where they can track you and refer you back to some of the infractions you've committed on the road while driving. So if we can equally adopt such system for these tolling systems, I think then we could begin to think of ways to be able to judiciously spend this money when it finally comes into the coffers of the government, and not the physical cash like the one you explained at the airport, because I see them too, and they collect stacks of money, and it's very, very easy, to divert funds through that means. So when the government is thinking about the tolling system, it must also put plugins and loopholes must be completely blocked, so that money comes straight to the government and it can be used for the purpose for which
I think there's a way they can even operate the tolling system so that they avoid the use of cash. So the cards, like for the BRT cards, you have the carry card. So when you get to the station, rather than pay with cash, you just swipe your card and it makes deduction. So every motorist plying that route can have their toll card. At every point you get to, you swipe your card and it makes the deduction. So the money directly goes into the right account. Those who are going to be stationed there only have the device through which you can swipe your card. I think that will make it easy, because this money is meant for the loan repayment for which through which the road was constructed. But there's also a condition or a clause rather that says the tariff payable on that road will increase after every 5 years. So it means that for these charges, it's going to run for the first 5 years. After the first 5 years, there's going to be an increase of the toll tariff. So that means that for users of that road, transportation will continually be on the rise.
Yes.
And we know the attitude of the motorists and transport workers that we have in Nigeria, a lot of them. When there's a marginal increase, you know how they also make sure that that price reflects significantly, that price change reflects significantly in what the passengers have to pay. So that means that the cost of transportation along that route is going to increase. For goods and services that come through that area, there's going to be an increase. And if that continues over a long period of time, we know that that will increase.
You mentioned something very significant about having a tolling card that you swipe and you pass for the purpose of monitoring the flow of funds. But if Nigerians who travel, there are Nigerian businessmen who can travel more like or the cars or the vehicles, most especially the long haulage vehicles that go from state to state. So you may not be having, I think, like 5, 10 tolling
so
cars.
Maybe there are conditions that would say maybe arrange that you only pay the toll for once in a day.
Today, where you have AI technology, the drive process will be looking at still creating disruptions, because the real reason why people go on the express road is that journey becomes faster. Now you can imagine, of course, you create a toll on this road and people are moving and you see stretch of traffic. Because somebody had to wait to swipe card and ensure that the card is done. And this technology has gone beyond that.
Do we have that advanced
We should be able, you see, these are the things that we will demand from people. Chinese are constructing road in the UAE and they are the one tagging it. They are constructing roads in Canada. They are the one tagging it. So there's nothing that stops them from tagging our road as part of the investment on that road, so that you can also take away some of all those things out of the road. But the point I was actually going to make was the fact that I don't know whether those also who think for us, whether they are people of little faith and they don't even see a better tomorrow.
How do you mean?
Since I've been going to UAE, Salik has been 4 dirham.
For the road?
Yes,
the tolling. And here we are to increase
for
every 5 years.
It's not changing.
And it's for 25 years.
Perhaps they have in mind that inflation will continue.
So why are we not even
factoring
thinking?
Inflation?
Yes, the inflation that we have not seen, we are already factoring it in. Why are we also not seeing that the inflation also coming down? Because the business of governance is to make life meaningful for the people. So is it that what we project is to see that, life will continue to be bad, that this can be good, that's what I'm saying. Maybe they are people of little faith. So for people of faith like me, I feel that we should also have been imagining that after 5 years review, we are not going to be thinking review in terms of moving money up, but it's also reviewing it downwards.
And the other thing is this: you were told for 25 years. How much was the money to build the road? How much is the loan taken to build that road? It should be public knowledge. How much is the contractor getting back for it? For how long is going to operate for 25 years? Are we saying that if we go by the 500 naira, the 700, the 1,000, and the 1,600 naira, do we have knowledge of how many vehicles we have and how they are going to apply those roads? What if in 10, 15 years we are able to generate the amount of money to pay back the loans? Are we now still going to continue the 25 years? How do we even know when we've completely generated the money?
But the roads will continually be maintained, or they would need to be maintained.
If they are going to be continually be maintained, then why not review downwards after it has been paid back? After, let's say, between 15 years, we've successfully paid back the contractors.
So it's just maintenance charge.
So it's this way of making the forecast. Also, we need to put into check the unscrupulous tendencies to make some unclean money out of it from those who are in the know of the main details of the contract.
Well, I think that the Ministry of Works also need to be clear about this. How many times do you need to ply the road, and how many times would you need to pay the toll? Yes, if there's going to be toll, doesn't mean that if you ply the road once, that covers for as many number of times you ply the roads for the day.
The ticket is written one way only. It's one way only.
So you're coming back, you're
so
paying.
if you use that road 10
times a day,
you pay 10 times.
Then we shouldn't be increasing it in every 5 years.
I need to sound like a siren, but that's a lot of money.
That's
a lot of money.
Every 5 years.
That's a lot of money. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair, because it then means that transportation would increase so much, because the transporter is calculating how much is going to pay. And if you're traveling through the road and you're going to have to go through maybe like 4 points of the toll or of the road that are tolled, so the transporter factors all of that into it, transfers to the passengers at the end of the day. So yes, we know that the loan has to be repaid, but hey, raised a very valid point. Let's know how much we need to repay. So let's know what gets in there and when we are done paying. So let's know it's just to maintain. The idea of increasing after every 5 years might just be too much.